Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is a Dear Profiler Pat, where you can send in questions and I'll try to answer them, give my advice. Profiling life may be yours. You can take it or leave it when I give it, but I'm here to do that. And if you'd like me to answer one of your questions, please do send me an email at profilerpatbrown@gmail.com and put in the subject line Dear Profiler Pat. And if you're new to the channel, please do like the video. Please do subscribe. Please do check the playlist for all the different things I do talk about. And I always welcome all your comments below because although I give advice, so many people have had experiences that I have not had, which they can share with others. And I think that really brings us together to understand that we're not alone in some of these things. And even though I might answer one question, often I make it much broader because we all have some things that are in common with the question. Maybe not that exactly, but close enough that we can learn from what that person is experiencing and what might work. Okay, so I got this really, well, I don't want to say sad letter, but very, very emotional letter. And please do not take anything here I say lightly, because I know this is so such a deep issue that it can truly be something a person might need some real in-depth therapy. And I'm not saying they should not get this from what I say here. I'm just trying to give a perspective that maybe might be helpful. I'm going to read parts of the letter. I'm a 57-year-old female. I came from an abusive home with narcissistic parents who didn't love each other. I was a product of an unexpected teen pregnancy, which caused their abrupt marriage, and my father's never forgiven me for being born. He would tell me, not supposed to be here. You know, wasn't supposed to be born. I was physically and sexually abused as a child, and my mother blamed me, saying I was just a bad kid. I had many problems for many years with identity as a child, and I can say this for many people. Um, when you get parents, you get a roll of the dice. Now, children are born the world over to situations that are less than ideal. And I cannot say, as a human being, I understand it. There are different spiritual viewpoints on that. One is that, you're coming into this life to learn something and experience it, and then you're off to heaven. There's others that believe it's karma, that from whatever happened in your previous lives, this is a life you're supposed to experience. And the people that you interact with, you're all learning from each other. Other people just say, hey, it's just a crapshoot. Roll the dice, get 7, get snake eyes. You get something. But I can say this, some are not as lucky as others as to the situation that they're born into, whether it be to parents who are not good parents and don't want to be parents, whether it be into a war situation, whether it be into extreme poverty. Just, you never know what a child is born into. And that child ends up living that experience. If they survive into adulthood, they take that experience with them. And it can be pretty harsh and leave a person scarred. And you wonder, can I ever get over this childhood that scarred me? How would I deal with the damage it's done and the guilt I feel, the shame I feel? And sometimes when you get into adulthood, you repeat patterns or you have poor patterns of behavior because you haven't had a good upbringing. And so then you make mistakes that do make you feel guilty and shameful. And then you carry that with you for the next few decades. So going on with the letter. So this woman has had this terrible, terrible childhood. She says, it's taken till now before I've achieved any clarity about spending some years alone with my only beautiful rescue dog, which has saved me 100-fold. And I love that because there's a great many people who find that they in the adoption of an animal get that love from that animal that doesn't come with all the baggage. And they feel like they're doing something for the animal, and the animal's doing something for them. So they finally have this relationship, which is sometimes better than a human relationship. I realized later in life I've not valued myself. That's a huge problem for people, not valuing yourself. And sometimes people try to overvalue themselves, and sometimes they undervalue themselves. that some people say, why me? Why don't I deserve more? And why am I, I deserve this and I deserve that. Well, not necessarily. We quite frankly come into the world not deserving much of anything except a chance. And some of us get better opportunities than others as we're growing up. Some of us can't rather get screwed. But the fact is, we're still who we are. We're here. We're here. And we have value, at least to ourselves, because we live, we breathe, we woke up in the morning, and we have a value to then, and we have a day. So we want to take that which we value, which should be ourselves, and hopefully other people around us. And if we can live better, then it may be true that other people start valuing you as well. But the concept is that we have to, as people say, you have to love yourself before others love you, is not entirely incorrect, because people are drawn to those who are happy, those who are positive, those who are doing well. And the more a person is failing in life and devaluing themselves and acting in a way which is just bringing them no success, other people aren't too thrilled to be around you. So you do have to love yourself in that sense, that I was given a life on this planet and I have every right to claim that life. I have every right to do something with my life, regardless of how I got here, who I grew up with, and what they did to me. I have a right to this life and to do something with it. So, and then she goes on talking about how she's, because of the abuse she's had, not valuing herself, she's gone on to suffer other things, bad relationships, abortion, which has left her with a feeling of loss. And she says, I suffer overwhelming guilt sometimes, even though things occurred like 40 years ago. And sometimes we will look back and that thing that we did as a teenager or as a young person, or sometimes even a couple years ago, can leave us with that sense of guilt we have trouble erasing from our heads. And we're carrying that with us in a way that's not moving us into a better place, but just dragging us down. And she says the grief can be crippling, persistent, and lonely. And she says it's very hard to share with people, and it's shameful to talk about. Yeah, generally speaking, that's what people do. They go to therapists. That's why they go to therapy groups. So places where they feel comfortable and safe talking about things. But in reality, what happens is the reason we're feeling so difficult to talk to people is because we're holding that stuff onto ourselves. We are keeping what we shouldn't keep. We're keeping shame, which we shouldn't be hanging on to. If something happened in our lives, and if you've got a long enough life, things are going to happen. You're going to have those moments where you are probably less than an inspirational and perfect person. And if you're going to sit there and write them all down on your sheet, I did this at this age, and it was a humiliating experience. I did this at this age, and I feel guilt over it. I did this; it was actually a crime. And you're just going to write all this crap down, and you're going to sit there and stare at it. And on the rest of the sheet, there's all these good things, but you're not paying attention to these things down here. You're only paying attention to what's up here. And I say that screw that stuff. It's over, and you are done with it. And what you've got left is who you are and the good things that you are right now and the things that you can do right now, because you cannot rewrite the past. You cannot do that. You cannot fix your parents. You cannot fix your crappy childhood. You cannot fix that. The mistakes that you made, you can't fix them. You can't. What you can do is decide what you can do right now. It might be adopting that dog. It might be that you remember that you did poorly, let's say, that you didn't have a good childhood, but you have the opportunity to take care of children today. Maybe because some people, their first family sucked, but their second family that they ended up choosing and worked out well, they got married and had children. They had a beautiful second family, not the one they grew up in, but the one they made. Or maybe they never get to that point of being able to find that person, but there's children around that they could help, that they could work with in a way that's positive, that would make them happy and the children happy. Or maybe it would be working with the elderly, that This particular person's only 57, young. Maybe it's helping somebody who's also had a lot of traumatic things happen in their life, but they're so happy to have your kindness that you're coming to visit them, take them someplace, go out to lunch with them. These things that you can do now, which they don't care about your past. The children, they don't care about your past. Elderly, they don't care about your past. People who need your help don't care about your past. They could care less. You know, what you did 50 years ago, oh well. And believe me, they did some of those things too. And they had those things happen in their lives that they're like less than proud of. But I say, you know, I look at life like like a cat. You have 9 lives. If you get to 90, if you get into your 90s, you go, 9 lives. Yeah. If you get up to 90, you've had 9 lives. I look at that and I say, okay, well, life number 2 wasn't so great. Yeah. Well, we'll skip life number 2. Life number 3, I really, really like. That was a good one. Keeping that one. Yeah. Look, keep your good stuff. Just keep your good stuff. Take the rest of it and chuck it away. Yeah. And don't. Why? Why did it happen to you? I don't know. There's just no damn good answer to that. Whatever the roll of the dice was, you got snake eyes. You did. I was fortunate. I didn't get snake eyes. My childhood wasn't perfect. Some things I felt I missed in childhood, but I got to some of that to do with that second family, the family that I raised my children, and I got some of that there. Um, there were times when I just didn't know what to do with my life. I was like wandering around stupidly. I think I quit college like I don't know how many times. I kept quitting, 2 events in. I'm like, yeah, I'm done, and my parents are like, you know, and I eventually ended up with a master's degree, but not then. I got that in my 40s. So because there was I say that whole decade I just chucked it. That decade. I learned a lot of things during that decade. Not everything was bad during that decade. So when I rip off the whole thing, I really could rip little pieces out, and not all of it, because there's some good memories and good things that I learned as well. But living in the past cannot. It doesn't. If you're living in the past and every time you're looking in the past, it hurts you. Stop doing that. Stop doing it, because unless you can take that thing that hurts you and use it in some positive way, and that can be done. People have had, for example, let's say they've had a murdered child, and it's one of the most brutal things you could ever imagine. And I've talked to too many parents who've had a murdered child, and that is so incredibly painful. But what they've done is they started an organization in that child's name, and they've helped so many people. Does that take away the pain of that moment in the past, the loss that they've had? No, but they used it for something positive in the future, so they didn't have to completely eliminate that out of their head. But if you got something that's just through just a time in life that was extremely difficult, and you are not proud of what you did, so let just let that one go, because let me tell you, if everybody around you did the same thing, there'd be a huge pile. It's like a huge garbage pile of stupid crap we did, things we wish we hadn't done, humiliating things we did, embarrassing things, sad things, things we're guilty about. They'll all be there. Everybody's will be there in a big fat pile. And if you ask those other people, do you want to go back and search for those things in that pile? They'll probably go, I'd really rather not. And you'd rather not too, so don't. So don't. And you're now at a place where you at least recognizing that you're valued, at least by yourself. You're valued by yourself, and now you're valued by your dog. And that's the start of valuing your life and having other people starting to want to be a part of your life and value you as well. Obviously, you've made some poor choices. Don't make those anymore. That's where you want to look at and say, where did I go wrong on that one? Oh, I see. I picked a guy who was completely worthless, and well, maybe that was it. Maybe you shouldn't have jumped to get the guy who was completely worthless, but you were lonely, so you did. So you have to recognize in yourself where weaknesses are, so we don't do them again. That way we don't end up devaluing ourselves all over again, because now we put ourselves back in time or backwards, gone downhill again. Don't go downhill, keep going uphill. And it starts with where you're at now, valuing yourself and valuing what's in your life. And but but I'll tell you, take that paper, shame, guilt, all of that stuff, toss that and keep the good stuff. Keep the good stuff and keep looking at that. Those things that you want to be and those things that you are, because you are some of those things already. And don't devalue the things that you are. You are that, you know. We all have things about ourselves that aren't as great, or people saying things. I mean, as a public figure, I got a lot of people telling me a lot of horrible things about myself. They say things, they don't value me at all. But if I listen to them, then I'm a fool. I should stop listening to them. Just listen to what is real and you. Just pay attention to you and what you mean to you, not what somebody else necessarily thinks, what you think. And that is the most important thing of all, because if you wake up in the morning and you think I'm okay, I mean, you just might be. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Everybody else who's gone through all this stuff, please put your thoughts below. And I wish everybody the best in valuing themselves. Thanks for being here again. Been here, not been here before? Please do like and subscribe. Bye.